So I posted something online and someone dropped a comment and the comment said a people hungry and thoughtless. And that comment struck me. I stood and I was looking at this comment. I looked at the comment for quite some time and I was thinking a people born hungry and thoughtless. And do you know that that sentence, that very short sentence, forms the nucleus of what Nigerians are going through. A people born hungry and thoughtless. Think about it. Just think about it. A people born hungry and thoughtless. You know, Bible says we shouldn't underlook or underestimate days of little beginning. You know, I see it beyond just materialism because whenever that passage of the Bible is let out, a lot of people just look at it as uh, I started with I started from the gutter, or you know how we always say it. I started my poultry business with one egg. I started my transport business with a bicycle, and I kept on keeping on. That's how the system has made Nigerians to approach life. For Nigeria, life has to be hard. You need to start from nowhere. It's because we have a system that keeps us starting from nowhere. In organized systems, you don't start from nowhere. There is always a platform upon which you would start, and it will help you. In organized systems, bro, you go to school on credit. You are credited by government to go to school. When you're done with schooling, you start working and they deduct little by little until you're done paying. Sometimes you pay 3 years. But in Nigeria, you have to start from nothing. How much can a person who started from nothing achieve in life? And guess when we start? Just guess when we start. When you go to school, you look for jam, you look for jam, you look for jam, jam will fail you and fail you. You finally get admission, you're already over 20. You go into school, there is strike. Or sometimes you do not have money to pay fees, you have carryovers. You couldn't pass not because you are not intelligent, but because your mind is not focused. You're distracted by poverty. The time you're supposed to be reading, you're struggling to pay school fees. By the time you graduate, finally, thank God, you are 25, 26. You go for NYSC, 27. Bro, Nigerians actually, a lot of Nigerians, not all, start from 30 years. And from that 30 years, you start from nothing. There are those who start from 40. There are Nigerians who start from 45. You start from nothing. There is nothing at all on ground. But in a lot of countries, when you are 30, when you're 40, it is expected that you've lived a whole lot of life. But in Nigeria, you are just trying to begin. We already have the belief that life begins at 40 in Nigeria. So, a people born hungry and thoughtless. I've always said it's the way we think that is the problem of Nigeria. It's the way we think, the way our leaders think, the way we respond to our leaders. You know, we cannot think in a way that hold the leaders accountable. The leaders cannot think in a way that provides services for the people. So it's about thought patterns. Our thought patterns are very, very awful. That's why we have to do a mental flush. We have to do an intellectual or mental cleansing. We have to start from cleaning off the trauma that has been as a result of the situations that surrounded our birth, the situations that surrounded parenting, the situations that surrounded growing up. Nigeria is a theater of trauma, and that trauma decides how we think, how we approach life. Childhood is very important to the life of everybody. That childhood is what you would look at when you want to talk about do not take for granted or do not despise your days of little beginning. When you were small, when you were conceived, when you were birthed, and you started toddling, you grew up, all of those little days, those times that you were little, those were your little beginnings. They are very important to your future. A people born hungry and thoughtless. Let's look at how an average Nigerian is born. An average Nigerian is born hungry. An average Nigerian is born poor. We are from a country where about 90% of the, I don't want to use citizens because Nigerians are not citizens. 90% of the people are poor. And when you are poor, you give birth to someone who is poor. You give birth within a poor surrounding. The circumstance that surrounds the birth of your own child would be a circumstance of poverty. And it's like a chain, vicious cycle. It just keeps going round. It is important how a child was conceived. It is important the 9 months they were, because right in your mother's womb you are reacting to the environment. I am not a medical practitioner, so I'm not a physician, but to some extent I can see myself as metaphysical physician. I know metaphysics to a reasonable extent, so I can say from that aspect that it's very important the situations or conditions that surrounds how you got conceived, who your mom got in a relationship with to conceive you, where you were birthed, the situations and conditions that surrounded your birth, the interactions your mom had while she was pregnant of you. They are all important. What your mom ate, how was she feeling, what kind of life was she exposed to. So if she was exposed to poverty, you will be born poor. And the thing about poverty is that poverty is not just the lack of material things. Poverty is not just about I do not have money or I do not have nice cars, beautiful mansions. Poverty has a lot to do with the mind, the way your mind responds to issues. Poverty is not just materialism, but we could just look at materialism and you will talk about weaponized poverty. The poverty in Nigeria is a poverty that has been weaponized. against the people. It's a strategy of government to make the people poor, because when you're poor, you can't hold them accountable. Take, for example, a child was conceived and the mom didn't have quality meals. It will affect the way that child is formed in the womb. It will affect the growth. So that child have already started experiencing poverty even before the child came into the world. And now you are brought. Someone said something funny that in Africa, when a baby is born, their cries are different from those of Europe or America. That in Europe or America, the baby is crying because it has been let out of a place that has become like home, comfortable for it. You know, in the mother's womb, the baby is just there. You know, it's already used to being like this. And then they push, they struggle, push, and it has affected, it has shifted the positioning, it has stressed the baby, and the baby comes out crying. And just a few minutes after, or just by the tap of the midwife, the baby would find their cool. But in Nigeria, the baby is crying because you for leave me for where I did, where I did me okay. Why will you bring me to this kind of place? Why will you bring me to suffering? Why will you bring me to bad roads? Why will you bring me to blackout, up NEPA? Why will you bring me to corruption, to impunity? Why will you bring me to um, all manner of things that we experience in Nigeria? So that's why the baby cries and cries. And you've already started forming your minds as a child. People always say, "Now small picking, you don't know anything." No, there is no small picking. We all have spirits, and spirit does not have age. A people born hungry and thoughtless. And when you are hungry, you can't think. A philosopher says you would only think as far as your pocket. That the economic conditioning determines the intellectual outpouring. Look at how Nigerians think. We do not think like normal human beings. It is in Nigeria that a woman would be forcefully entered into, and people will come up with questions like, what were you doing in his house? What were you doing on his bed? What kind of outfits? Why were you putting on skin? God, it is out of poverty. Poverty destroys the way you think. And they do not want us to step out of poverty, because the moment you start living comfortably, the moment poverty stops becoming your problem, you would be able to think right. And by thinking right, you would hold them accountable. We do not hold our leaders accountable. So when you were born hungry, you will be raised in hunger. You know that Nigerians are so attracted to hunger. Nigerians are attracted to suffering. Nigerians celebrate suffering. It is in Nigeria that when things are going very easily for you, you are not comfortable. You become suspicious. That this thing where I just start this business now and everything they work well. You sure say something no day. Make come work well like this later now. Things come begin cast. We are not. It is a surprise to us that things can work for us easily. Even the people who have stepped out of poverty, or people who were born in some level of middle class and stuff, Nigeria do not even have middle class. It's just 95% poor, 5% rich. But those people that are even in the 5% rich, if you try to tell them, you be ajebo, you know what I'm about to say now. If you try to tell them, this one ajebota, that same person will say, no, ajebota for where? A rich person will want you. You need to not present yourself as a rich person for you to be able to fit into the society. You need to form kpako so that they will not treat you as different. They will not, treat you somehow, because the entire society is kpako. So just you that is butter will be feeling strange. So in order for you to fit in, you will now claim an identity that is not yours, just for you to identify with society. That's how deeply poor it is in Nigeria. And the reason is simple. The political class have made it so that any day they come for your vote, any day they come to use you to snatch ballot boxes, they will just give you a bit of what you have never seen before, or what you've tested before, but because it's not yours, it's slept. You know, you just see 50,000 naira. Just take 50,000 naira and snatch this ballot box. It is something that wouldn't take you 5 minutes to accomplish. 50,000 naira in 5 minutes. This is how easy it is to make money. Maybe you are someone who works for 30,000 naira a month, and you go to work every day, Monday to Friday. You leave the house very early. You get to work, you close late. As you're coming back home, you're tired, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Sometimes you stay in traffic till late into the evening. You're stressed out. You say, God, how can I see a better job? 30,000 for the whole month, and I don't even understand how Nigerians even survive. Because if you sit down and calculate these things, some people, their transport fare for the month is bigger than the salary for which they are paying the transport. So I don't know how people survive. But if that's your situation and someone came with a 50,000 naira offer for just a 5 minute snatching of the ballot box, you will do it. You will do it, because that's like, bro, it is something that other people will tell us. God, when they will even say, collect it too. Like, if my kind of person, I'll say, you can't even approach me. It has never been even at this level before. When I was, there is no how you can approach me for something like that. But in case it was my kind of person, and I say no, the other person next to me will be like, this guy, you don't know what you're doing. You don't want to be rich. They will even say, now that these people want to come and take your vote, it's an opportunity to make money from them, because after now, no more. That's the situation they've put us. They've made it transactionary, and we are still, in the end, the losers, because 50,000 naira for a ballot box, your vote. I have made a writing of how much a vote is worth. Your vote is worth, oh God, If you know how much your vote, just one vote, is worth, and you exchange it for 50,000 naira, you are shortchanging yourself. And that could only happen because you were born hungry. And the political class want the people to remain hungry so that that will keep happening. And then they will intimidate you. They buy these big cars, carry this security, not because they actually want, they would wish to be ordinary like you. The politicians, they will wish to walk the street freely. They will wish to eat with you in the open. They will wish for all those. But they do not do it because you will now start seeing them as ordinary. So they put up those fences. That's what I see it as. Big cars, security, line, entourage, to intimidate you. You now see yourself as poor me. Ha, poor me. Now me won't go challenge Akpabio. You know, see him cars, you know, poor me. If they carry me, if they pick me now, who will come bail me? They do those are political strategies so that they will be very relevant. Then they will send their boys to do giveaway. Will be Cubana chief priest that will bring bags of rice once in a year, December, and you will take. And when you take, they put you. You don't know that those people are the middlemen. Tomorrow you will see one of those people supporting a particular candidate, a candidate you do not like, a candidate you will not want to support, but because someone has given you rice before, someone has given you 50,000 giveaway before, your mind will be conditioned to support their candidate. Thoughtlessness, hunger will not let you think. When you are hungry, you do not have a mind of your own. The politicians knows this, and that's why they use it. That's why they use it. And you see how they protect their children from hunger. You see how they protect their children. They don't want their children. A lot of us do not even know what the children of our leaders look like. The ones we would see are the ones that their parents are grooming to take over. Atiku, Wike, Tinubu. If you look at those politicians that are not grooming their children to take over, we don't really know their children. They are not on Facebook. I don't know if there is a different Facebook for them. There's a different Twitter, X, there's a different Instagram for them. You don't see them. It's not as if they are decent. They are not decent. It's not as if they are, they even want to be a part of us. But they build a wall around them. They don't even want you to be close. That's how they fear poverty. But the same poverty you are so much afraid of, you just strategically unleash it to other human beings like you. So the children of those other people are what? They are animals. The way you've been responding to your society, the way you've been responding to your economic reality right from birth determines your thought pattern. And it all leads you to seeing your leaders as big men, to seeing your leaders as gods, that you cannot challenge them. You are too poor. You are afraid. You are afraid because you are poor. Have you seen a rich man being afraid before? You are afraid because if they arrest you now, you don't remain. It is hunger. You easily get angry. It is hunger. You easily curse. It is hunger. It is poverty. You might have escaped along the line. You might have become rich or become comfortable, but the trauma as a result of those years you were poor have formed a part of you, and it will never leave you unless you decisively go through a rehabilitation, unless you decisively unlearn nearly everything that you've learned, and then you start a relearning process. And that's why we are here. You have to understand that you are not poor. You have to have a rich spirit for you to be able to challenge your oppressors who are big without having the need to be afraid of them in spite of your poverty. You will first have to have a rich mind, a rich spirit. So stop seeing yourself as poor. You do not have food to eat. Strive, you will have. You've not paid your school fees. Do not accept that to be your reality. See yourself as someone that is aiming at becoming rich. See yourself as rich. Have a rich spirit. Man is a product of their thought. When you start thinking about how rich you are and how rich you're going to be, you start attracting wealth and you start thinking properly, and you can start challenging your leaders. Blame it on the responsibility, blame it on um, waywardness, blame it on whatever. The problem of Nigeria is a problem of poverty. It takes several forms. It can take the form of hunger. And when you are poor, you are thoughtless. When you are poor, you do not think right. You only think about the next meal. Nigerians are not well fed. A lot of Nigerians do not feed. They just Indomie and egg. Indomie and egg. Do you know that there are people who see Indomie and egg as luxury? There are. In fact, when you start thinking about the next meal, it shows you are poor, because wealthy people don't even remember they've not eaten. Rich people, sometimes 4 p.m. they've not eaten, and you see them very active. There is a place you get to with your wealth. You will see that a lot of things do not matter. Look at, actually, look at people that are wealthy. Very simple, because those things do not matter. When you are chasing, you have 10 million, you want to steal another 20. You lie that Python swallowed the money. You lie that the house caught fire. You organize fire outbreak so that you can swindle. It speaks about poverty. You are poor. No matter how much you have, you are poor in the mind because you were born poor. So you are afraid of falling back into poverty. So you want to steal what you consider enough for you to never go back to poverty. And when you have that kind of mindset, enough can never be enough. That's why you steal 1 billion, 21 person steals 50 billion, 80 billion. What are you doing with it? So as a Nigerian, you have to start reformatting your minds. Step out of poverty. Step into holding your leaders accountable. Someone would ask, how do we hold our leaders accountable? If you have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, WhatsApp, whatever social media, you could just post one thing. I reject this tax bill. We need electricity. Just talk about the things you're going through in the hands of your leaders. Just start from talking about. If we know enough about what the leaders are doing to us, we will start thinking about how to hold them accountable. For those that have moved from that level, start holding. I have talked about recall. The central theme of democracy is on the representatives, it is on the legislators. The legislators are people who represent us. The president will not give assent to things that the National Assembly have not put before him. This tax law that we are dragging Tinubu all over the place, it was the National Assembly that permitted him to execute it. Put your constituents together and sign a recall treaty. You might think it will not work, but try it. If you try am, if it work. If you no try am, e no go ever work. So just try. It might work. Even if it doesn't work, it will make them know that we have started knowing what we are supposed to do, and that will keep them on their toes. Have a very wonderful time.